Welcome to the First Class Agers, the podcast for the curious, fun-loving agers. I'm Marlene Nix, and with me is
Ido Laufer.
And today we have a treat for you, something that I think will interest everyone because it's a story of super agers. People who physically may be growing old and they're in their later decades, but they stay young. They stay young because they're full of vital energy. They explore and they try. I thought I'd give you some interesting statistics and some examples at the beginning because I was amazed while reading this. Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Sergey Brin, Larry Page, these people at a certain point, they consulted with mentors older than them, more experienced, to help them achieve their goals. And then the most inspiring for me was reading about people like Mozart and Beethoven, who were when they were child prodigies. And then they wrote some of their greatest works when they were older. The people like Claude Monet, who painted the water lilies when he was in his 80s. Verdi, who wrote Falstaff, the opera, when he was 85. What about Benjamin Franklin? When he discovered bifocal lens, he was at the age of 78. And then you had the Guggenheim Museum as a wonderful example of what Frank Lloyd Wright did at age 92. And of course, we won't forget Picasso. He was, let's put it this way, still vital and very, very energetic in his 90s. Michelangelo and the other great people who in their later decades said, we can do it, and they did it. When I was thinking about you, Ido, being young, being an innovator, and you're starting something new that people don't know about. And then I compared myself to what's the difference between you and me in that sense. I've tried things, some of them didn't work out, and I still have many more to discover. And that's the difference, I think, in approach, because when you're young, you do excellent work about a concept and you test it. When you're older, you start thinking, well, I have nothing to lose, so it's more trial and error. What do you think about that?
First of all, I've just recently read that when you are getting older, it is not true that you lose too much of your brain and then your cognition is reducing. It's only that with training and in older age, you have more connections in your brain, and it creates something else. It brings you to the point where you can produce more with your thought. So your cognition in this sense is getting better. And this is why all of these amazing people you were talking about, this is why they go to their best results in their older age. So this is the first one. And then I think it's amazing because it gives me, I say, never stop working, never stop innovating, never stop developing. And this is what we need to keep on doing in order to be our better selves. We do not know when our best thing would happen to us. And even with great successes, it might be that the next success would be the best one.
You know, it's true, because I'm thinking of how different we are, and yet we're very similar, not just in age. If you've done so many physical experiments, you've tried, and then you can give examples from your own life. I've done different things and also more in not so clearly defined. What do I mean by that? I had an idea. I had followed my intuition, my spontaneous, let's give it a try. And either I made it or I didn't make it. But I'd never lost the will to keep trying. And I noticed, for instance, when you talk about the physical things you did, one day you can be very good at it. The next day, physically, it didn't work out as well. What's the answer? Keep moving, they say in the older years. How do you solve for yourself the problem of, well, it didn't go that well today. What am I going to do about it?
It doesn't change. If I'm not doing well today, it means that I need to practice more. And if I declined today, when I relatively to the, let's say, the previous session, it means that I didn't come with enough energy or I wasn't concentrated. It's only motivating me for the next thing. So in the next time, I need to be more concentrated. However, I've read an article about the oldest bodybuilder, who was, if I'm remember correctly, is in his 91st year. And he's
91st?
talking about 91st year. And he's still lifting weights and he has great body and you see, really amazing. And he says that there's always adaptation. With age, you do not stop. It's only a matter of adapting. And you know your body. If you're doing it for a while, you know how you feel and the difference, and you have to adjust in order to keep on moving, in order to keep on practicing. So when you ask me what happens if I'm not doing as well as I did in the previous year and as I did 10 years ago, it's adjusting the training. And with adjusting, I can tell you that a lot of people, or enough people, after a certain age, if they are training with high impact training of martial arts, by the age of 40 or about 40, their body is already breaking because they accumulate many injuries in their body, and they start feeling all of these injuries that are piling up. And then they say, we cannot stop training. What is the next stage? And then the next stage is Aikido, and the next stage is Tai Chi, and all of these martial arts that are still, they improve your body, they improve your movement, they improve many, many things. And you can use them if you would like to fight with somebody, but your body is adapting, your body is getting better and better with every session.
You know, along the same thing, I'll talk about an older person. I read exactly what you're saying, as though we're writing the same story. An older person may have had to deal with all the changes, the physical changes, of course, but along with that, there are the social changes. And if you look at the world today, the digital world, and how difficult it is for older people to say, okay, I have no choice but to cope with it. I can't just let go. So they don't abandon what they can't do anymore. They may not be as fast as they were, or it may be more difficult, but they never give up. And that's the difference between the physical examples that you gave. You may have more injuries if you've had different experiences, and at 40, you'll feel them. The same way with the older person. He has more experience in trying and maybe not succeeding, or having succeeded, looking for more. You just don't give up. You don't say, okay, I'm done with it. You have no choice. You keep going. And I think it's inspiring to have an experience, whether you make it or not. If you succeed or you don't, that's not important. It's the drive to keep going. I'm sure that you felt that when you had the frustrations. It doesn't matter in which sport, but there was always an alternative, and to keep going. There's these super agers that we read about, whether it's physical or in the arts, whatever has been created. It's amazing for us in our everyday experiences. We shouldn't belittle them. We're learning all the time, whether it's a positive experience or not, but you're learning who you are and why you're doing what you're doing and how you're doing it.
There are so many things to. First of all, I think you are a great example for a super ager. And my father is a great age. You don't have to be a Monet or a Picasso to be a super ager. It's a matter of mental state to be a super ager, of being curious that we keep talking about, of loving life and loving the part of life that you can still enjoy. Or if you can't, for example, if you can't do a full contact martial art, you can still enjoy the martial arts of so many other things. So you need to adapt and keep on doing. So it's a matter of being a super ager is being a person that keeps on being curious and keep on experimenting and getting the best things in life. I can share with you that, sorry, I can share with you that one of the people that I'm now training with who underwent a stroke about 5 to 6 years ago, and he got depressed, and I think he was very embarrassed to leave his home and to have other people see him in this situation. And because of it, he declined. He really gave up. And when he came to me, the first thing that I did, I took him to the boxing sack. And I started training with him in a healthy and in a new environment, an environment that needed him to change his state, not of being relaxed, but to have his guard and start punching the bag and see the reaction of his body, the reaction of the bag, and the all change of atmosphere. It was a very powerful moment. And from what I understand, since this training, he understood that he can do anything he wants. It's only a matter of a decision and only a matter of trying. And maybe he would not do it as the way he used to do it before, but he can do it in a different way. And the most important thing is do it, train. Every day, do something that makes you happy. Every day, do something that you need to make an effort in order to do it. Do not be too comfortable. It's very important. At least part of the day, go and be uncomfortable and explore different fields. This is the most important for all of us.
You know, it's, if you look at it, the word to generate, you get energy because you give, you get, and it really is a true thing, because that example, it shows sensitivity, it shows the will to give. He gave, he didn't give up. He gave of himself, and you gave him the chance and the strength to try, to keep trying. And it worked for him, so it encouraged him. And I'm sure that, for instance, I listen to the people when we do the falling exercises in the group. And I love to hear the different reactions. Why? because you hear people who are surprised, they overcome their fear. That's one of the major remarks you hear. I was afraid, but I tried it and it wasn't so bad. And then if at the beginning it didn't go so well, the exercise may not be 85% in the sense of success. You say, that's not too bad, it's fine, try it again. And if you practice, like they say, practice may make you perfect, but you overcome that hurdle and you did it. And it's the same thing, I think, when you generate, it gets back to stay active in so many ways. If an older person just says, I can't because I'm old, then he's just going to fade. But if he says, I'll give it a try, I have nothing to lose, I have everything to gain. And it's the same thing, I think, if you think about it in your experiences with all the martial arts you've done, what was the difference for you? Why did you change? Why did you change from one system to another? When did you change? How are you feeling about the previous system? What made you change? What set the spark?
Spark was always there. I needed to do something. And after I was honorably discharged, I think is the right term,
Yeah.
from the IDF. And I had to, in the Israeli Defense Force, I had to carry a lot of weight. So when I got discharged, my body was in a bad state. My back was I had a lot of pains from my back, from my knees, many things. My shoulder I dislocated. So I had many horrible things happen to my body in a very short few years. And so I couldn't jog, I couldn't swim, I couldn't do a full contact martial arts anymore. And I needed to do something because I was sitting in the engineering school and studying all day long and all the night long. And I started to feel that my body is really getting into a bad situation, is declining. And I need to do something. And because I didn't have anything to do that I knew, so I picked up Tai Chi because it's very mellow, it's very soft, and it really is therapeutical martial art, or if you don't use it as a martial art, it's really a therapeutical training. And with the practice of the Tai Chi, I started to recover and my body became stronger and my aches declined till they disappeared. And then I felt more secure. And I picked up again, I went to ninjutsu again, but then I dislocated the shoulder again. So I decided maybe ninjutsu is not a good thing. And I kept on doing things and I knew I can't do full contact martial arts at those times. So I picked up Aikido also. And when I got really, after the Aikido, I got even better self-confidence. I started practicing boxing, which is full contact and everything. And I knew then that I can do anything I want. And it gave me a lot of power and a lot of self-confidence, not about my ability, but self-confidence in my body, that my body is healing and that I managed to heal my body. And now I can do whatever I want to do. So this is my journey with martial arts. And it is a matter of, if you get into a block in one way, you need to pass the block and go a different way, and you'll get to the same results. Many paths bring the same results. So we need to find a path. If this path is blocked or is the wrong path, it's okay. We change it, we learn something, we go through the other path. And it's true, not only with people that are healthy. It's also if you underwent a stroke, if you're sitting in a wheelchair, if anything happened to you, if you have cardiac situation and your heart is not good, there are always things to do to improve it. And many of it is physical and many of it is the way you think. And it's our body, it's our tool. It's the best tool that we've ever given.
It's what we have. And I think I look at it this way, listening to your examples, you're rewarded. What's the reward? You have a triumph of experience. Whether the experience was good or bad, that's something else. But if you triumphed and you tried and it encouraged you, then you get the confidence to keep going. And that's the difference, I think, with all the examples with the older people. Of course, it is difficult to lose friends, to lose loved ones, to lose body strength that you once had. But also with the losing, you can pass on to others in whatever way you like or what you can. You can enrich other people's lives too, because you set up an example for yourself. With the elderly, it's for the next generation. Or if you want to take it wider and broader than that, it's what are the ideals that you can still remember and try in some way to influence change. And it's all about changing and being willing to be flexible to change. Because if they say, oh, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, how wrong they are. Speak to any vet and he'll tell you. I'm thinking of people who say, I'm too old to start at this age. How wrong they are, because again, with these super ages, they've proved age doesn't make it impossible. It may be more difficult or maybe even better. It's like good wine. Good wine tastes better the longer it's been stored away. But with the fact of growing old, if you're young in spirit, it gives you energies. And when you're young and you're young in spirit, then you continue to grow as you age because you don't give up. And that's, again, what I think is related to being active, having a certain vitality for life, because it is a present. You have to see it as every day is something new and how you interpret it. I think we talked about it when we linked it up with motivation, with curiosity, with a willingness to take a chance on something new. Because there is change, and change is inevitable. It will always continue. In which direction, a lot depends on how we see, how we want to focus.
It's true. So true. I often think about my children in this. I think about my children the way they see me, that I'm practicing all the time, that I'm going surfing, and I'm going surfing winter, summer, every time I'm going surfing, and I have my routine of training, and when I practice at home, so they hear me punching the boxing bag, and they see me coming exhausted after the training and sweating and needing the rest for a little while before I can do anything, because it's really tiring exercise. And I'm relating to what you said about setting an example. It is so important to me to set a good example for my kids. And it's so important for me to have this great example from my father, from you, from other people who keep doing the things that they want, keep changing what they are doing in order to do something, in order to improve their life, in order to live, in order to have the difficulties. And my father, he started to feel that he's getting weaker because he's swimming every day. But after a while, swimming is not an effort because he's been doing it for, I think, for already 4 or 5 decades. So, and he started to feel that he's getting weaker. So he picked up, he loves water. So water gymnastics. And this is what he does. And it's making him stronger. And he feels so, it's so nice to see him after a practice when he's tired, but his spirit is elevated and he has a sense of accomplishment and he has a sense of, I did my part today. This is what we need to do. So he's a super agers and you are a super ager. And if I can share that, you had a break from training with me, and for a few months. And when you came back, you forgot a lot of it, or your body forgot a lot of it. But with practice, very quickly, with a few practices, you regained all of your abilities that you used to have, which was amazing to see. It was amazing to witness you, the way that you came and there was a decline in your capabilities. You didn't give up. You didn't say, okay, I'm too old now for that because I haven't practiced. On the contrary, you took it as a challenge and you practiced. And I can see every lesson. I tell you how you improved, and you sense really the improvement of your capabilities. And it's amazing.
No, I think you have to have a good teacher. And it's not like just giving you a compliment. Learn from the ones who know about what they're doing, whether it's Socrates, whether it's a great musician, whether it's a good craftsman who knows how to use his hands beautifully to repair whatever he's repairing. It could be the plumber. It could be a good racer who knows how to drive properly and give instruction to people at the simplest level. Or it can be the physicist who's talking about the most complex things. Let yourself learn, as I see these superagers who do, from every possibility in life. It can be a very minor thing. It can be something that you don't even think about, but we're here to learn a lesson. And the lesson is live it to the fullest. And if you're open to it, it's an endless library. And to hear you describe your relationship with your father and talking about children, your own children, there's a slang in English that says it's more American. Instead of calling their father dad, they call him my old man. How do you see your children seeing, or how do you see your father, who you love very much, as my old man? Or how do your kids joke about their father in his 50s, my old man? And it means a lot. I remember we were talking about, what do you call your father? Daddy, when you're small. Dad, when you're a teenager or older. Or in slang, my old man. How do you think they see you? How do you see your father? How do you see yourself, old man? It's also a good topic if we try maybe in one of our podcasts to think about it for next time.
It's a good idea. Very good idea.
And in the same way about slang, they say when a married man says, my old lady, not talking about his mother, talking about his wife, my old lady, it also says something to think about.
Many things to think about. I think we can conclude here, and
Yeah.
maybe we know that super agers, if I can characterize what super agers are, these are people in any age that are committed to be better, they are committed to live well, they are committed to live to the fullest and be curious and make the effort. And doesn't matter about their physical condition. Of course, it matters, but their physical condition does not restrict their experiments or the experience that they want keep on experimenting. And I'd say, if we're talking about it, there are some tools to keep being curious and keep being a super ager. And the tools are to ask yourself, how do you want to live the rest of your life? With happiness or declining and be in depression? And I think a very important or a very strong tool is to think about your siblings. What do you want to leave behind? How do you want to be thought of? Which tools do you want to leave to your siblings? Because it's often said that it doesn't matter what you tell your parents, what you tell to your kids in order to teach them. What is important is what you do.
What you do. And I see it also, if I had to say it in one sentence, accept the challenge. You're being challenged all the time. And that's what it's about. And if you accept the challenge, then it has to go in some direction.
Of course. So I think we can close this episode and maybe to send our blessing to all of the people who are listening to us and tell them everybody is a super agers if he accepts the challenge, if he keeps being curious. And super ager, I'm already consider myself a super ager because I'm getting older and older, and luckily I'm getting older because there's always the alternative of not getting older. So we are getting older, and we need to have a bliss of getting older and accept the aches and accept everything and keep on challenging ourselves and thinking about what we're leaving behind us and the way that we are educating our siblings. So live well.
It means getting older, but staying young. And I think the French expression, joie de vivre, the joy of life. You didn't ask to be born, but it's what you do with it.
True.
Right.
So thank you very much for listening to our episode. This is our 11th episode. Thank you very much. Please give us thumbs up if you like the episode, share with friends, subscribe to the podcast, and you'll get the new episode that we are recording weekly. We'll see you in the next episode.
See you soon. Bye for now.